Very beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kinsley Emmanuel. I'm very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. On today's edition of the show, we're going to, of course, bring you the latest from the UEFA Champions League and not forgetting the controversy surrounding the 2025 African Cup of Nations, as well as some other interesting stories right here on the show. Promises to be another exciting edition of the show this evening, so just sit tight as we have a lot for you after this short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. ST Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I told you we have a lot for you on today's edition of the show. Joining me to do justice on the issues we have on our menu is Miracle Onyekazi. Miracle, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Port Harcourt. Good evening, Kingsley. What a beautiful day in the world of sports. I think a lot happened throughout the week, midweek. I think we need to talk about, especially in the Champions League. So it's always nice to be here.
Nice to be here indeed. And we have to start the show this evening with the latest coming from basketball, as of course Nigeria's D Tigers have expressed confidence in a stronger showing at the 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup after reflecting on their recent qualifying tournament campaign. The African champions endured a mixed outing at the Fires, finishing with 2 wins and 3 defeats, having beaten Colombia and Philippines, but lost to South Korea, France, and Germany. Now, despite those results, Nigeria had already secured qualification for the global tournament by winning the 2025 Women's AfroBasket, with the qualifiers serving as part of their build-up. Now, speaking after the tournament, head coach Rena Wakama acknowledged the challenges of the schedule, but insisted the experience would benefit the team ahead of the World Cup. She said the series of games provided a valuable platform for growth and improvement, and the coach pointed out to lapses observed during the qualifiers and the importance of addressing them before September. Guide Elizabeth Balogun also emphasized the importance of learning and development, noting that the team's focus would now shift to reviewing performances and building cohesion. The 2026 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup would take place in Berlin from September 4 to 13, with the draw scheduled for April 24th at Kraftwerk Berlin, alongside the FIBA enshrinement ceremony. Miracle, I don't know what you make of it. What's your assessment on the performance of the Tigers of Nigeria, talking about the FIBA World Cup qualifiers? 5 games played, 2 wins and 3 losses. What's your evaluation on their performance?
Yeah, for me, I think so far it wasn't a perfect qualifiers, because we know that they lost to the likes of Germany as well as France. But knowing fully well that they've already qualified, I think they will use those games as a as a reminder that they should not get carried away due to the fact that they already qualified and through winning the AfroBasket. But I want to commend the coach and the players as well for their doggedness and competitiveness when they faced against eventual big guns when it comes to the female baskets over there. For me, I think in the likes of they are good and strong opponents any team can find it difficult to win against. So them losing to such an opponent, for me, there's no shame in it. I just need them to go back to the drawing board and maybe get their acts right, and the coach have said that they will go back and correct their lapses and know fully well where they should regroup and manage game in their play as well. So for me, I think some players coming back from injury as well have been a plus to the side. Hopefully, going to the FIBA World Cup, we can see the best of the team.
Let's see how it goes. We look forward to see the best from the D Tigers of Nigeria at the FIBA World Cup this time around. Let's see how it goes. We hear that Anthony Joshua has stepped up his preparation for a summer comeback by returning to full training camp, linking up with the team of former unified heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk as he closes in on his first fight since the horror car crash in Nigeria in December. British Nigerian boxer last fought on December 19 when he stopped Jake Paul in 6th round in Miami, but his career was thrown into uncertainty just days later when he was involved in a fatal road crash on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, claimed the lives of his friends, personal trainer Kevin Ayodele, and recovery therapist Sina Gahmi. Joshua survived the accident but has since been in physical recovery while also mourning the loss of his two close friends. Having begun his return to light training at Frenchley Amateur Boxing Club, his first gym, Joshua has now joined trainer Lego Kolab, who is a long-standing member of UC coaching setup and who first worked with Joshua during his 6th round stoppage for Paul. Kolab began working with Joshua last year after the 36-year-old parted ways with Ben Davison following his defeat to Daniel Dubois in September 2024. Promoter Eddie Hearn had signaled that Joshua was closing in on a return to full camp, expressing confidence that the former champion was mentally and physically ready to throw himself back into the structured environment of professional boxing preparation. Anthony Joshua looking forward, of course, to get back to Nigeria. I don't know what you make of it. You think he should take his time and properly recover, or you think he has, of course, rested enough and, of course, mourn his friends as well who lost their life in that accident enough as well? You think Joshua should bounce back into the ring this year?
Yeah, for me, I think it's left for Joshua to decide. But personally, I would have loved to see Joshua back in the boxing ring because we know what he brings to the sports. Joshua is a one-time Olympic gold medalist, a world champion. He has been experienced and he has been one of those prominent names when it comes to heavyweight boxing in recent times. So I think Anthony Joshua and how everything turned out to be, the tragedy of him losing his personal trainer, his friends, for me, I think it's such an unfortunate event that could happen to anybody. So I just hope that he can do this and come back into the ring stronger. And we can then see the Anthony Joshua that we've known over the last couple of years. Let's not forget that that's fight we see him as in full reading, clamoring for. Is still one of those matchups that a lot of boxing fans have been hoping to happen. And unfortunately, we've not really seen that over the last couple of years. But maybe this him coming back into the sport might just prove to be the decider of that particular boxing match coming to the limelight or eventually happening. So I just hope that Anthony Joshua, his camp and everybody around him can just help him mentally and both physically so he could come back to the sports stronger than before.
Let's see how it goes for Anthony Joshua. Look forward to see how his return, of course, will be this time around. But miracle, not a very good news for Rivers United as they have just been beaten by Niger Tornadoes 1-0 in that rescheduled fixture today. This is a huge setback for Coach Finidi George and his men.
Yeah, I think I'm beginning to question the tactical approach of Coach Finidi George. I think now they just lead the likes of Rangers with about a point on the log, and we knew that point margin was not big, and they needed to go all out in this particular game against Nasarawa United, making sure that at least they could come up with a point from that particular one. But unfortunately for them, they went there, they were shambolic, and they just lost by a lone goal. For me, I think it's not a good turnout of games in recent times for the Rivers United team. And if they really want to remain at the top of the log and maybe fight for this particular title, they need to start getting all maximum points, especially when they go away from home.
How does this, affect the title race, in the Nigerian Premier Football League? Talking about this result.
For me, I think it changes everything automatically. It gives the likes of Rangers, the likes of Ikorodu United, and the rest of them now the opportunity for them to close in on the gap. I think Rangers now will have their own destiny in their own hands. If they can keep winning their own games and not depend on the likes of Rivers United to drop points, maybe they can just dethrone them from being at the top of the log. I think Rivers United have just put themselves in a very, very difficult situation, knowing fully well that they don't go away to get points. They normally draw points away from home, and of late they've not been so good away from home, so it put them in a difficult position. Now they need to win all their home games to make sure that they could even secure or maintain that particular top spot on the log. So for me, I think Finidi George and his men need to start making things right. If not, they might just be leapfrogged by the likes of Rangers Football Club.
It might be another struggling season for Rivers United, and all eyes this time around might be on Finidi George not being capable enough, of course, to lead the side. Yes, he came in last season and was able to take them back to continental competitions, and took them down to the team couldn't put up a very impressive performance, in the group stage, and now they are back in the MPFL where they actually look favorites, for the title. But it looks like the title is gradually, slipping from their hands, as it stands. What do you make of the perception of the fans, towards Finidi George at this point in time, looking at the way they keep on dropping points, as the match days progresses?
Yeah, I think so far the fans have not been giving the coach the backing and the support that he needs. I think even when they
really supported him, is that what you
said? Yeah. Even when they were getting some good turnout of results, the fans still still continue questioning his tactical discipline and input in the particular team, especially the way they performed on the continent. I think continent they could even single their 6 group stage games, losing at home, especially to the likes of the Egyptian side and the rest of them, even the other side. To the Coastal Public Stadium here to play against the Rivers United, they couldn't even get a single victory from those games. So for me, I think his tactical discipline has been questioned over the last couple of months. So the turnout of events now fans will still keep questioning him and begin to worry about him, his influence on that particular team. Before we know it, they might begin to call for his sack. So for me, I think Finidi George needs to start turning things around, unless he doesn't want to retain that particular job at Rivers United.
A whole lot at this point in time for Finidi George and his men. Rivers United just lost away from home to Niger Tornadoes, and that has really affected the title race in the Nigerian Premier Football League, as the title race is now very much open. Rivers United, yes, despite the loss, still stay top of the league with 52 points, and Enugu Rangers second with 51 points, as it stands. There is Ikorodu City with 48 points in 3rd place, and we have in 4th place there Shooting Stars with 47 points in 5th place of that particular encounter, and really looking dicey and intense when it has to do with the title race and the continental position, as it stands in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Looking at the way Rangers, of course, they've been pushing. You think this is the time they have to, of course, take advantage of for the top sports in the MPFL?
Yeah, definitely. I know Rangers, they are a very, very experienced side. Let's not forget that this same side, some couple of 2 seasons back, with the influence and input of coach Fidelity Lechuku were able to win the Nigerian Professional Football League and go to the continent to represent the country. So for me, I think this side over the years have been very, very experienced. They are a known side when it comes to the MPFL, so they are not new to challenging for titles. But the question is that can they remain consistent in their games now that they know that the battle is on the or the competitiveness of the league have become very, very dogged now that the couple of games are not really. I think we have just about 8 games to go. So for me, I think the likes of Rangers right now have their own destiny in their hand. If they can win all games and make sure that they don't really drop points or maximum points away from home, I just feel like they might have the edge over the likes of Rivers United.
Let's see how it goes. Rangers looking very close, of course, to take up the top spots in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Can they remain consistent going forward? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But away from that, let's of course take a step forward now as we look at the Confederation of African Football. As president of the Confederation of African Football, Patrice Bosempe has said Senegal is free to challenge the decision stripping it off for the 2025 African Cup of Nations title, insisting that no country will be given preferential treatment. Recall that controversy arose on Tuesday after CAF overturned the result of the AFCON 2025 final, stripping Senegal of the title and awarding a 3-0 victory to Morocco after upholding an appeal by the Royal Moroccan Football Federation. Senegal had initially won the final 1-0 on January 18th, courtesy of an extra time goal, but the match descended to controversy after Senegalese players staged a 15-minute walk-off in protest of a late penalty awarded to Morocco. Citing Article 82 of its regulations, CAF ruled that the action amounted to forfeiture, leading to a reversal of the result. Speaking in a video interview released on Wednesday, Mosepe said all 54 member nations have the right to pursue appeals, including at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So CAF is saying, the CAF president is saying that Senegal, they have the right, that they can, of course, challenge the decision in the Courts of Arbitration of Sports. Do you think Senegal has what it takes, to challenge this one? Do they have a case at this point in time, and do you think they will be successful?
For me, yeah, I feel like every federation is in their own right to file a case against CAF if they feel like they have been mistreated, or if they feel like they've been in misjudgment of decision that CAF carried out throughout is own investigation and ruling. So for me, I just feel like if the Senegalese Federation will be willing to do that, because I don't think that they'll be willing to do that. For Patrick Musepe to come out and say that they are free to appeal the case, that means he might just think that maybe he has an edge over them in this particular case. So for me, I know willingly that the Senegalese Football Federation will go out or outrightly to make or to go to CAS and maybe make an appeal to this particular verdict, but it's left for the judgments to now then favor them, because we know the rules and how everything outplayed in that particular AFCON. For me, I think the Senegalese Football Federation might just have the ruling against them. But me, from a point of a fan, I feel like they were, will I say, harshly giving such verdict or judgments, because the AFCON ended a couple of months back, and we saw how everything outplayed during the AFCON, how we saw some refereeing decisions and the rest of them. So for me, I think why not give the verdict then on the pitch, and maybe make that ruling then on the pitch, not coming after how many months now that the tournament is over and everybody have made their peace with the turnout of events and how things happened. Then you're coming out now to make a claim or make a verdict that the eventual winners now will be stripped of their title and it will be given to the opposition. So for me, I feel like Senegalese Football Federation might have a case, but it's yet to be known if the case will be a favor at this point in time. But I'll take a look at all of this that has happened. CAF coming up after 2 months, to award Morocco
AFCON title, talking about the AFCON 2025. This has never happened before. I don't know if we've seen this kind of thing in any place or in any country, or say to say at this point in time. Talk about we've only seen this in Africa, and you take a look at the way people have been talking down on the African Cup of Nations, and with what that has just happened, as it stands, how do you think this will impact? How would this impact on the tournament, going forward?
Yeah, for me, I think already there have been some negative comments and some negative, will I say, feeling surrounding the AFCON and how even the next AFCON will turn out to become. This is not what we want to see in the continent of African football. I think the last couple of AFCON, the one in Cameroon and the one in two perfectly hosted AFCON, good refereeing decisions. Even the our European counterparts or colleagues came out to commend the refereeing decisions and that they saw during the AFCON. But unfortunately, the AFCON in Morocco that was hosted in 2025, in 2026, for me, I begin to draw a lot of questions. For me, I think it didn't really tell how, or tell the growth in the growth of African football. I think it took us way back. We saw how the ball boys reacted. We saw how the players of Senegal and the players of Morocco reacted. CAF came out to dishing some fines and some suspensions. But unfortunately, things didn't really go as planned. Then now they are giving another verdict as well that are beginning to draw a lot of eyebrows. How is this thing even possible? What the decision is this? So a lot of people have been questioning that. But for me, I think this is not in African football. We want our football to be growing. We want development. We want a free and fair sport, football without violence, as we say in the growth of African football.
Not a good one at all, and we'll look forward to see how this, of course, will go down. But not a good image, for African football. Former Liberian president and football icon George Weah has thrown his weight behind Morocco in the ongoing controversy surrounding the 2025 African Cup of Nations final this time, and reacting to the decision of the Confederation of African Football Appeal Committee, which overturned the initial outcome and awarded the title to Morocco following Senegal's forfeiture. Weah stated that justice had prevailed. The former Ballon d'Or winner emphasized that the rules of the game are clear when it comes to abandonment, insisting that any team that walks off the pitch cannot be declared winner. The ruling has continued to generate mixed reactions across football world, with stakeholders divided over the interpretation of the laws governing match forfeiture as it stands. And away from that, let's move on now, as we hear that Moroccan Football Federation has expressed confidence in its readiness to host a successful Women's African Cup of Nations, despite lingering controversies surrounding the 2025 African Cup of Nations final. The assurance comes in the wake of a contentious ruling by the Confederation of African Football, which awarded Morocco the AFCON 2025 title after stripping Senegal victory. Senegal had initially defeated Morocco 1-0 after extra time in the final played on January 18, but the result was overturned after the Senegalese team staged a 17-minute walk-off in protest of a stoppage time penalty awarded to the host. CAF Appeals Committee, citing Article 82 of its regulation, ruled that any team leaving the pitch without the referee's consent forfeits the match, and the decision saw the game awarded 3-0 in favor of Morocco, handing the North Africans their first AFCON title in 50 years. Senegal, of course, we just heard the ruling and confirmed plans to challenge the decision at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So Morocco, they've come up to say they are ready to host the Women African Cup of Nations after declining recently that they are not fit enough to host the competition. I don't know what you make of this. Does it have anything to do with the declaration of them being the champions of the 2025 African Cup of Nations?
Yeah, for me, I think so far there's been a lot of controversy and some political decisions between the likes of Morocco and CAF over the years. I think a lot of hosting rights have been given to Morocco in the last couple of years. Even the CAF Awards have been hosted continuously by Morocco. So for me, the big question is why, after some particular statement or some particular decisions that have been made now, you now come out to say that you're willing or you're now ready to host the tournament that you've declared not capable or worthy of hosting. For me, that's the question we've been asking. For me, it's yet to be known. And now that they've come out to say that they are willing to host, it's left for CAF to decide if outrightly they will still give them the hosting rights. So for me, I think a lot has been happening in African football in the last couple of months. For me, the Musepe over the last couple of years as president have been fantastic. I think a lot of growth have come in African football. So I wouldn't want such issues to hamper and or to destroy the growth of our African football. So for me, I think things like this should be resolved. Patrick Musepe should, and his team and his board members should come out and think or make decisions that will not impact the growth of African football negatively.
All right, let's see how this one, of course, will go down. Morocco, they said they are very much ready at this point in time to host the Women's African Cup of Nations after CAF awarded them the champions of the 2025 African Cup of Nations. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how all of this, continue to unfold. But away from that, we heard that FIFA to have ruled out moving Iran's matches at this summer's World Cup to Mexico from the United States. The president of Iran's Football Federation has said negotiations were underway to move fixtures in order to ensure their players' safety. It comes amid U.S. and Israeli strike on Iran, which has responded with attacks on Israel and U.S. aligned states in the Gulf. However, this week, FIFA said in a statement it was looking forward to nations competing as per the match schedule, and the U.S. is co-hosting the World Cup, which takes place between 11 June and 19 July, with Canada and Mexico. Iran are scheduled to face New Zealand and Belgium on 21st of June, both in Los Angeles and Egypt on 27th of June. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump said that while Iran are welcome to the World Cup, he does not think it is appropriate they attend for their own life and safety. It's really a dicey one for Iran, a miracle. FIFA has come out to say that it might not be possible moving their games, to Mexico at this point in time. And the president of the United States has come out to say that they are welcome, but the place might not be safe for them, as it stands. I don't know what you make of the situation for Iran in the World Cup.
Yeah, for me, I think them moving their games from United States to Mexico, for me, would have been the best decision. But since FIFA have come out to say that it will not be possible, it's left for Iran now to know or make decision if they truly want to go for the World Cup or they want to part from the World Cup. So for me, I think their games would have been much played in the likes of Canada or Mexico due to the ongoing crisis Iran have with the United States of America. But perhaps not to move the games, maybe due to other reasons. So it's left for them to find a resolution.
Left for them, of course, to find solution at this point in time. But of course, at this point, we'll take a break. When we return from the break, I'll bring you some other interesting issues revolving around the beautiful world of football. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we're still here bringing you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport. It's time to, of course, to bring the latest coming from club football. Former Chelsea FC executive Christian Poslow says the Premier League has the Premier League has been way too generous punishment for the club for historic breaches involving undisclosed transfer payments. Chelsea were fined £10 million, the largest in Premier League history, and handed a suspended transfer ban after admitting to making £47.5 million in payment to unregistered agents and third parties between 2011 and 2018 during the ownership of Roman Abramovich. The club avoided any sporting sanctions such as a point deduction. Postler, who worked at Chelsea between 2014 and 2017, but says he had no involvement in transfer dealings, adding he was shocked by the scale of the activity and had never encountered similar practice in his career. Miracle, I don't know what you make of this one. Chelsea has been given a ban. I understand it really affects the academy, for the side, but how would this affect the team overall?
Yeah, for me, I think they should be a little bit lucky that that the ban wasn't like the last one they previously received in 2019, whereby they were banned from about 2 transfer windows not to sign players, and they struggled within that period of time. But they should be lucky that at least it's just the £10 million pound fine, and they can go in and pay. So for me, I think over the years broken some let's say procedures and some rules when it comes to making transfers and signing of young players in the past. They've done some illegal activities. Even till now, there's still been some investigation that been carried by PFA towards Chelsea and how they've been managing funds over the last couple of years. So for me, I think this should serve as a learning to a lot of Premier League sides, especially the top sides, and they should go in to do their business appropriately and not making some decisions on going through the back door to do some wrongful business that can actually come in the future and mess things up for them. So Chelsea, this is time they begin to learn, because they have a new squad, a new team, a new management. So things like this now, mistakes like this that have been previously carried out by the old and former reigning, which is beginning or is still affecting the team till date. So it's time for Todd Bowley and his associates to correct all these mistakes and know how they will move from here.
All right, let's see how it goes at this point in time. And away from that, we'll bring you the UEFA Champions League results yesterday. Victor Osimhen endured a frustrating night as Galatasaray were knocked out of the UEFA Champions League following a heavy 4-0 defeat to Liverpool, while Ademola Lookman progressed with Atletico Madrid despite a 3-2 loss to Tottenham Hotspur yesterday. Miracle, I don't know what you make of that loss for Galatasaray. 4-1 on aggregate, it ended in that one. What do you make of their performance at the Anfield? Yeah,
for me, I think it was a difficult matchup all around and a difficult game for a team like Galatasaray going to Anfield to play a struggling and a Liverpool side that needed to get all 3 points in that particular one, knowing fully well that it will enable them to go to the next round of the Champions League. Yeah, Victor, I think he's done his in this Champions League, scoring over 10 goals so far. Unfortunately for him, it was not good enough to send to the next round. I think it's now time for him to go back to the drawing board and know how they will continue with the season. I think they are top of the Turkish league, still contending or competing to know if they can retain that particular title. So for me, I think Victor Osimhen, he has been the star boy of that team over the last couple of months now, and a lot of teams will be looking at his signature in the summer. But it's left for him to see whether he will still remain at Galatasaray or make that big money move to another side in the European top flight.
A lot of persons have actually questioned his ability to carry his team whenever it matters most. We've always seen Osimhen in a situation when is in a very critical game. Before you know, he will sustain injury, or maybe one or two things will make him to be out of that. But it happened yesterday, where of course we hear he was injured and was taken out of that particular encounter. I think after the first half, or for that one. What do you make of the perception of some fans on Osimhen not being able to live up to expectation when it comes to crucial games for his team?
Yeah, for me, I think this should not be the response from fans, knowing fully well that he doesn't just take himself outside the pitch. Yes, we know he's had injury worries over the last couple of seasons now, but this is really the time that we should go and support a player like Victor Osimhen, because we saw or we see what he does whenever he's on the pitch, how he gives his all to his teammates for his team, and he carries his team. We've seen him carrying the likes of Napoli, giving them their first Scudetto in over 30 years. We saw it in the likes of Super Eagles. Now we are seeing it in the Galatasaray team. So it's nobody's fault that Osimhen always picks up knocks and injuries the time that he needs our support and love from the fans. So I don't think it's his fault he left the pitch yesterday. If it's by his power, I think Osimhen wouldn't even want to leave that particular pitch. His team needed him the most. So this is the time that we support him and just pray that he comes back stronger.
All right, let's see how it goes. Galatasaray out of the UEFA Champions League, but let's bring you some other results. So FC Barcelona beat Newcastle United 7-2 yesterday. It ended 8-3 on aggregate. Bayern Munich beat Atalanta 4-1, and it ended 10-2 on aggregate. We took Liverpool beat Galatasaray 4-0. And it ended 4-1 on aggregate. Tottenham Hotspur beat Atletico Madrid 3-2, ended 7-5 on aggregate. As it stands, but miracle, it was another disappointing outing for English teams in the UEFA Champions League, as we saw 4 English teams out of the 6 that progressed to the round of 16 being eliminated. The likes of Manchester City, the likes of Chelsea Football Club, Tottenham Hotspur, and Newcastle United, leaving just 2, which are Arsenal and the likes of Liverpool, progressing to the quarterfinals of the competition. What do you make of the setback for the English side? Is it that they were giving tough draws?
No, I wouldn't think that. Yes, they played quality side. They played good teams that have also had the Champions League experience over time. The likes of Madrid hosted Manchester City. Chelsea played the current European champions. We saw the likes of Tottenham Hotspur playing an experienced Atletico Madrid team that have reached the Champions League finals over and over again. So for me, I think eventually, at one point or the other in the Champions League, they were going to be knocked out, because everybody cannot reach the finals of the Champions League. Just 2 teams will play the final. We will eventually have a winner. So for me, I think them being knocked out, there's no shame in them being knocked out, but it's just that the way and manner in which they were knocked out, some of those teams were embarrassed. They were in shambles. The likes of Chelsea couldn't even get a single win. Manchester City as well couldn't get a single win. The likes of Liverpool eventually had to do a comeback against Galatasaray for them to eventually qualify. Arsenal as well. So for me, I think it's just the manner and the way these teams got knocked out that have been questionable so far.
All right, let's see how it goes with the quarterfinal fixtures. Of course, are out, and it's going to be Bayern Munich against Real Madrid this time around. Miracle, I don't know what you make of that fixture.
This will be one of the most mouth-watering fixtures we'll see in the Champions League this season. Bayern Munich, they've been doing very, very well, especially when it comes to their domestic league. I think the like of Harry Kane, Luis Diaz, Michael Olise, they're in a very, very fantastic form. And this Bayern Munich side know a team like Real Madrid. I think we've seen this feature over and over again, even in the time of Cristiano Ronaldo, the likes of Arjen Robben, and Frank Ribery, and Neuer as well. We've seen this feature over and over again. The pendulum always swing in one direction most of the time. The Real Madrid team always seems to know how to unlock and find their way past Bayern Munich, but this time around, Bayern Munich have a lot to prove, and I think they are one of the most prominent sides in the Champions League this season, and they might just want to maybe clinch the title for a record 7th time.
Let's see how it goes. Of course, it's going to be Sporting against Arsenal Football Club. I don't know what you make of that particular fixture. You think this might be a roller coaster ride for Arsenal?
Yeah, for me on paper, you might feel or think that Arsenal might just be going through in this particular one. But let's not forget how Sporting were eventual winners against the so-called underdog in the Champions League this season, the Bodo Glimt from Norway. We saw Sporting lose the first leg by 3-0, but going to their own home in Lisbon, it was a very wonderful comeback, winning against your opponent 5-0, not even conceding a single goal. For me, I think nobody saw that coming. And if Sporting use this particular momentum into the Arsenal game, I think they have all the chance and everything it takes to be a hard nut to crack for Arsenal. Arsenal themselves, they've not been all perfect and fantastic. They needed to do or go back to the Emirates for them to be rally out with the eventual win against Bayer Leverkusen. So for me, I think that particular game might just be going in a direction that nobody sees. Maybe Sporting might just have something to prove and knock out the eventual favourites, Arsenal.
All right, look, keep our fingers crossed on that. We'll wait to see what Arsenal, of course, will prove in that encounter. It's going to be all Spanish affairs, as it's going to be Atletico Madrid against Barcelona. I don't know what you make of that. So far, so good. Barcelona, they've been brilliant in the Spanish La Liga. Do you see them, of course, bringing that brilliance, in that encounter against Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League?
For me, I think this game will be one of the most tactical minded games. I think the two sides know themselves very, very well. They've already played about 3 times this season already, with Atletico Madrid knocking Barcelona out of the Copa del Rey in a game that will now and come back in the second leg fixture of that particular one. So for me, I think the two sides will go into that particular game knowing fully well that they know themselves very, very well. They wouldn't want to take any risk. But for me, I think in that particular fixture, it will be hard to call or hard to predict the eventual winner or who goes through to the next round.
It's going to be Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain. I don't know how you see that one. I think last season, Paris Saint-Germain actually also them out from the UEFA Champions League. Can Real Madrid put up a revenge? Yeah,
for me, I think Liverpool have not been consistent enough in the Champions League as well as in the Premier League. And the Paris side as well needed to qualify through the playoffs. But we saw how they outclassed and performed against the eventual opponent Chelsea, an English team that they beat mercilessly. We saw Paris Saint-Germain against the English opposition last season before they eventually won the tournament. I think they beat the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Arsenal, as well as Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League last season before they eventually won that particular one. So for me, this time around, we've seen them play against the likes of Chelsea, another English team. So we never can tell. Maybe they just might have the mojo against their English opposition and opponents. But for me, I think it will be very, very difficult. Liverpool, any day, anytime, will be hard not to crack for Paris Saint-Germain.
Let's see how it goes at this point in time. And away from that, let's bring you some of the results from the Europa League, as FC Midtjylland will be national against Nottingham Forest tonight. We'll see Freiburg against Genk. There's going to be Olympic Lyon against Celta tonight. We'll see the likes of AS Roma against Bologna. There's going to be Aston Villa against Lille, as Porto lock ons against Stuttgart. Real Betis against Panathinaikos. Those are the fixtures we'll be expecting in the Europa League tonight. And with that, we're going to call it a wrap on the show at this point. Special thanks to Miracle for doing justice on the show this evening. And you can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. The conversation continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.